How do I get out of this? Okay. Can I pull up the agenda now? So for open forum, where's Sheila, for the things for open forum, where are they at? If we have things for open forum. Not anything that I want. I already emailed it. So it's in the email. Can I like? Okay. There's no one signed it. It's in here. Should be in here. Yes. Yeah, that one. That's nothing. I'm just gonna. Thank you. Oh my God, it's
Sorry to meet
Go ahead and get started. Welcome to our traditional Halloween meeting. I love seeing all of the fun costumes here. Got quite the agenda tonight, and so with that, we'll now move into a period of opening roll call led by Pro Tem Patel.
All right, guys, I'll know the drill and answer your name. Please say howdy, SVP Coppinger. Howdy. Chief Justice Leffingwell. Peter Blackburn.
Howdy.
Chairman Armstrong. Howdy. Chairman Chu. Howdy. Chairman Morrison. Howdy. Chairwoman Gaddis. Chairman Bass. Howdy. Chairwoman Cornell. Howdy. Chairwoman Applewhite. Chairwoman Wilhite.
Howdy.
EDO Herbert.
Howdy.
Senator Fisher. Senator Pond.
Howdy.
Senator James. Senator Tanner Owen. Senator Williams. Howdy. Senator Roscoe.
Howdy.
Senator Balance. Howdy. Senator Garcia.
Howdy.
Senator Jusino.
Howdy.
Senator Oberon.
Howdy.
Senator Pham. Senator Sanchez. Senator Vernon.
Howdy.
Senator Daniel. Senator Rodriguez. Senator Sanders. Senator Wright. Senator Hunt. Senator Gilliard. Senator Maynard. Senator Mora. Senator Bradley. Senator Childs. Senator James.
Howdy.
Senator Gubser. Senator Kim. Senator Rollins. Senator Tucker. Senator Applewhite. Senator Henry Smith. Senator Burrell. Senator Van Hoosier.
Howdy.
Senator Orrego. Senator Hu. Howdy. Senator Collinsworth.
Howdy.
Senator Edgington.
Howdy.
Senator Hughes. Senator Coates.
Howdy.
Senator Jojo Owens. Senator Pritzoff. Howdy. Senator Conrad. Senator Duncan.
Howdy.
Senator Flores. Senator Kowalski. Howdy. Senator Hoffman. Senator House. Howdy. Senator Hurt. Howdy. Senator Zantz. Senator Leahy. Howdy. Senator Monk. Howdy. Senator Norton. Senator Oliphant. Senator Annie Kate Owens.
Howdy.
Senator Puckett. Senator Ratcliffe. Senator Schaefer. Senator Steele. Howdy. Senator Sloan. Howdy. Senator Hudson Smith. Howdy. Senator Stone. Senator Teets. Senator Tripodi. Senator Tullis. Senator Horton. Howdy. Senator Rasco. Appreciate Gilbert.
Here.
Appreciate Matthews. Appreciate Preston. Appreciate Reynoso. Appreciate Troy.
Howdy.
Thank y'all.
Right, with that, we will now move into the mission statement and Aggie Honor Code read by Long Service Senator Chairman Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. How do you say that?
Howdy.
Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities rather through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with core values of our institution. Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do.
All right, with that, we will now move into open forum. Pro Tem Patel, do we have anyone for open forum?
I have Ben Crockett.
We see Ben Crockett. All right, seeing that our presenter is not here, do you have anyone else for open forum?
Yeah.
Here I am.
Alex, it's
Just starting it out.
great to be back in the room light. I love October because I love the Halloween. I like looking at the different costumes. I see the speakers dressed up as the president, and I feel dressed as the former president. May he rest in peace. And so, really, what I want to talk about today is rental inspections. Tomorrow, at about 6 p.m., we've been invited as a Student Government Association to go to City Hall and let the folks at City Hall hear our perspective on their proposed policy. Now, I know that I'll be speaking, Luke will be speaking, Kay will be speaking, several of us will be speaking. You don't need to write a speech, but simply showing up, being in the audience. So few students go to City Council that feedback. Students go to City Council that I've often found that our presence there can have a disproportionate impact on their policy. And for that reason, I highly encourage all of you, Batman included, to go to City Hall tomorrow at 6 p.m. so we can let our voices be heard. We can't blame them for not listening to us. We never take the opportunity to talk to them. Thank you.
All right, with that, our presenter is now open for a period of question and answer. Do I see any questions for the presenter?
Why would much?
Seeing none, I thank it for the time. Oh, do we have anyone else for open forum?
We do not.
All right, with that, there was a mistake on my part and I skipped the invocation of pledges and allegiance. And so we'll now be moving into the invocation and pledges of allegiance, led by Isabel Sassi.
I'm Sassi. I am the treasurer of the fleet, so I'll show the mission of her. That's it. God, we're just grateful to be here and grateful for the day we had. I'm just grateful meeting that everything went smoothly, that the work that is done here would be beneficial to students and student body, and that just would be fun and it wouldn't be scary. And I pray that that everyone here would just do their best in whatever that everything that we do here brings glory to you and to Texas. Thank you.
With that, we thank the presenter for her time. We will now move into the approval of the 10/09/2024 meeting minutes. We'll attempt to approve these via general consent. Do I see any objections to the approval of these meeting minutes? Seeing none, these meeting minutes do pass. With that, we are now going to move into our freshman caucus leader election. How this is going to work is we're going to move into a stand at ease, and our two freshman senators are going to go step outside the Pro Tem Hotel to conduct the voting. We'll conclude that, and then we'll move into the next part of business, which is swearing in of the new caucus leader as well as our officials. So we'll now move into a brief 2-minute stand at ease. So our freshman senators will please join Pro Tem Patel in the hall.
Okay. Well, I just wanted my one.
All right, please turn back to your seat. At this time, we'll now move into the swearing in of our officials and as well as our freshman caucus leaders. So our officials and our new freshman caucus leader will please come down to the floor. They'll now be sworn in by the vice chief.
Everyone, please raise their right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm. To faithfully execute to the best of my ability. The duties of the office of state your office. For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association. To uphold the honor of the same. At all times to protect the welfare of the student body. And to promote good relations between the students. And those concerned with the university. So help me God. Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations to our newly sworn in officials as well as our freshman caucus leader. With that, we are now going to move to a special presentation by staff. We're going to go grab them from the hallway and move it on staff. Perfect.
My name is Chris Whitmore, and I have the pleasure of serving as chair of the Student Affairs Student Advisory Board. Today, we're going to talk about our allocation process and what we're recommending to general mayors. Next slide. So, just a little bit of overview about SFAB. We're a 9-member board of students, and they're picked by Speaker by President, GPSG President, and the Speaker of the Senate. And then we make recommendations to general mayors or vice president of student affairs regarding the university allocation. So here's a few departments. There are 15 departments overall within student activities. that come to present to us that ask for requests. And so, just in a few, SG had one with student activities, student life, and career center facilities. Next slide, please. So, in the spring, there's the board is selected. We'll get training. We'll get training from Mr. John Crawford, CFO of the university. We'll talk about how we receive fees, loss of PUF funding, and the UAF in general. And then in the fall, departments will present. So we just went through 3 meetings, the 15 departments coming, announcing, and presenting to us in general their requests. And then now here today, talking about our recommendations. Next slide. So overall, we had 33 requests. That's $1.8 million. We kind of heard as far as what each department needed. And so recurring is basically putting money into their operating budget. It's just going to go each and every year. One-time funding is it's going to be given to them FY26, and then any more money will be continue the program and policy. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about recurring first and our recommendations on that. So we have based on priority order. So we sit down, we voted, and then we ranked them. So just to start off, the number 1 rank is Disability Resources. It's a program software that was given to them, given by the provost and president's office, but it was a software that was funded for 3 years. Essentially now that funding is ended, they need to roll their operating budget. This software basically is the ability students can submit forms and the access coordinators go through it and really in a wonderful fashion. So that was the number 1 priority. It's a state mandated department. So that seemed pretty heavy. The other ones are like access coordinator, career center, and one more. But this is student choir support with the capacity study. As we increase in the university, we need more SDSs or anyone that just works student facing in general. So these really align with the capacity study as we have to present, or Durham mayors will present to the president's office. And he wants to see things that are aligned with the student experience study, the capacity study. And so these are some heavy hitters as well in general, just to allow additional space and then additional access to the departments. And then we have a big push as well through the president's office is raising graduate students' salaries from $15 an hour to $18 an hour. Traditionally, if we don't fund this, it just goes through the department's reserves. Some departments are a little less fortunate on reserves than others. So we'd rather have that in operating budget so we don't have a question mark, can we pay graduate assistants? So that's also kind of a must in a way. We need to fund that. Also, these salaries are salaries and benefits. So everything's in the package. A little bit on these student media. They already have 1 program manager. This is just an additional one. As the journalism department and the communications work through some things, they moved it to student life. So the battalion and all the room. But anyways, those are all under advisors within student life. So they're asking for another one of them, and then Fish Camp. One more thing on the 7-2 votes. Fish Camp. The reason that's not 80,000 because Fish Camp currently funds 50% of their graduate assistant. This is from the MGT report, and then now it's a request for student activities. So student activities pay 100% of the salary. Fish Camp can use $41,000 on cover bus. And then the security guard for MSC programs with the gallery, those are student worker wages in general, and they're going to increase wage. That's next slide. All right. These are still yeses, the 6 3s and the 5 4s. And basically with the marketing communications, Marcom is now back from centralization and now kind of decentralized back into student activities. And so when they rolled over from Marcom and came back, they were missing communication specialists too. And so essentially they're just funding that budget that wasn't going back over section. So that's the next piece they had. So now we're kind of moving into the no's. I mean, we had, like I said, 33 requests overall. And you know, as far as career coordinators, one of those things where they're looking good as far as space now, but as they're hiring, their space is filling up. So it was a question mark of how much space do they actually have to hire 3 career coordinators. They're said they're getting ready to open the space in May, but it's one of those things where we just didn't know. So I think that's the decision Jerome Maris can hard back to sure on. But on the journalists and specialists, journalists SDS for Vice Center Student Affairs, they want to basically be able to have a person that can fill any vacancy at any point in time. This is a strategy that the division is starting to look at, but with latest market adjustments, used to salaries used to be 60,000 to 70,000 now at 80. So market adjustments making us very competitive. And so I don't think personally, just in a discussion kind of had, we don't know if it's still going to be a problem how long they can. So we left that Jerome Maris to see what he wants to do. And then the last line as far as reoccurring, as far as the student workers, that 61,000, we believe Career Center has enough in reserves to pay that, so we won't figure out that they have 5 requests total, so there are another 2 to 3. We're pretty heavy hitters where I think and then as far as Aggie Parks, let's talk a little bit about this. NSC is coming to us saying you send price to rent Aggie Park is expensive. We're not disagreeing with that, but we also think it's a little bit beyond our scope. So one thing is the president's office used to supplement funding for that. They're no longer doing it. And then Houston overall, it's just a discussion of why is it so heavy or so high, and how do they support. So overall, I think this is a broader discussion of all organizations across the board. Why is Houston pricing so high in part? And so that's just a more, there are a lot more question marks than what we've answered in our deliberation. And so we just let that general matters to come back to and see overall this discussion. So now we're going to move to one-time funding. And we'll actually get to this a little later on, but we started out with only 2 one-time funding requests. These are a little more, and I'll tell you why. So with SGA, we love Kay's presentation. Good job to him. But committee allocation funding, that was no problem, at least on my end. I just need diversity commission, so I understand the fight over the funds. And so that was an easy discussion within us. As far as the 5-4 vote within MSC, that in general, they had higher priorities, and so that was kind of a low priority target for them. Like I said, 33 requests, we just had to narrow down, but overall, that's still a yes on here. Next slide. And then lastly, with student community standards, hazing prevention training, essentially, Dr. Bell wanted to take the staff to a conference. We love that's a great idea. There is funds within their development, salary, benefits area that they pull from the pay sure. And so we weren't worried about on that end. I believe they can also other sources. And lastly, back to Aggie Park, there's other options as far as GoodFull funding and the student organization funding assistance board to help fund MSC if they need funding. Okay. Recommendations overall. So we started 1.8 million. We got down to 1.1. I'll say we got down, but we worked really closely with the departments, liaisons with departments, really kind of understand what the directors are asking for and what their intention is. And so it's one of those things where with 33 requests, we've got to have coordination. So I think overall it was a really streamlined process and a great great collaboration and with the departments and our administration to help get this to an amount we can hand to the child. So, any questions?
All right, with that, our presenter is now open for a period of question and answer. Do I see any questions? to the presenter? State your point.
Is this presentation? Is this presentation?
Yes, it's currently a drive under resources presentations.
Chairman Martin.
So first, just how much money is generated by the?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I would defer to it's not here, he's coming. But off the top of my head, I do not have a number. It's not go into that, but I would say that is coming from all fees and grants. So it used to be your advisor fee, it used to be all these different fees across the board. So then they consolidated with the universities. $1,500 for each of those. So we can get a specific number to you if Tom we can get a specific answer to you if he doesn't. But if he does arrive, he can answer.
So how can SGA better present us this now?
I would say I have no comments. It was really good presentation. Kate really elaborated why we requested one-time funding. Was that we really like to see results. You can't just speculate. We'll get back to your question. But just to kind of answer that one, it was a really strong presentation as far as we see results. It's not just give us this reoccurring and then this thing not going to forever. I believe y'all can spend $75,000, but it's really freaking pudding to actually see the numbers come back from previous.
Yes.
For the sake of asking again, how much Chairman Wilson, how much money is generated?
Mr. Reaver, can you answer that?
How much money is generated by the university advancement fee?
Oh. I don't know the exact number, but to give you an idea, a long time ago, the fee slip looked like this. There was advising fee, there was IT fee, there was library fee, student service fee. They took all those fees and collapsed it, put it in UAF. So it's, I don't know the exact number, it's a lot of money. Sure. If you want, I can get it set.
Do I see any other questions for the presenter? Seeing none, we thank them for their time. With that, we will now be moving into old business, starting with SA 7703, the Student Body Vice President Act. If the author will please come to the floor. Ten minutes, starting.
Good. Howdy, Senate. So tonight we are discussing a piece of heavy significance to this body and to the Government Association at large. It has the potential to really expand our role and expand our reach in engaging more students across the student body. This particular act, Student Body Vice President Act, creates an elected Student Body Vice President position. In case you do not remember from a couple weeks ago when we first brought this up. Essentially, the rundown is the elected Student Body Vice President will run as a ticket with a Student Body President candidate, and both the Student Body Vice President and Student Body President will be elected on that same ticket in the regular spring elections, and both will serve in the executive branch of the student government. Basically, what this does is it'll expand the scope of the Student Body President campaign in our spring elections. It allows us to reach more students than ever before, and expands the engagement that students have because they have more people that they see representing them in their student
And once the student body president and student body vice president have been elected, we have two individuals that have been elected by the entire student body, who have the legitimacy of the voice of the student body to represent Texas A&M students in many states. As RHA president, I can attest to the number of meetings that I get invited to. I can imagine the number of meetings that President Coppinger gets invited to. I'm sure it is double or even triple the number of engagements in ways that we interface with administration, university stakeholders. There are thousands of staff members at Texas A&M, and we represent tens of thousands of students. So it's incredibly important that we have strong individuals that represent the student body to be in these high levels of our student government. And through that, with two people in those positions, we can be in more of those spaces at once and engage with more students at the same time. So again, that's kind of the impetus for this act. We discussed many things in committee. There was some criticism, some debate and discussion we had. A lot of it stemmed to, well, how is this going to affect them? And to answer that, I say we have 80 student senators in this room. We have a speaker of the student senate that is highly regarded, highly respected. As a student senator, but even before I was in RHA, there was many spaces that I was involved in. Administration really does want to engage students and wants to hear our voices. There are so many ways that we as student senate can empower ourselves to go out and represent ourselves, and adding a student body vice president is not going to detract from Senate's ability to do that. It's only going to expand the number of people we have at the highest levels able to do that on behalf of the student body. Another major criticism from this particular act is, oh, well, how is it going to affect campaigns? Or is the vice president just going to be something of a tool that a student body president candidates can use to reach more students? And while that's possible, but I have heavy faith in our student body and in our student body president candidates, that they will select individuals that they believe will balance their ticket effectively and reach areas of candidates that they're not already reaching, which is a good thing. Yes, you might be picking someone because they run in a circle that's different than you, but that is something that reaches more students, that engages more students, and allows our student government to more effectively represent more students, because they see more people that they voted for representing them in these spaces across. More or less, that is the case for the Student Body Vice President Act. I believe this is a powerful opportunity. Definitely want you to strongly consider this. I think this is an opportunity for the 77th session to leave a lasting imprint on this university. This university has grown so much in the last several years. I think that this act effectively responds to that, will elevate the prowess of the Student Government Association, and will make us more effective in what we did. Thank you.
All right, with that, the author is now open for a period of question and answer. Do I see any questions for the author? I have SVP Coppinger first.
Howdy, Mr. Coppinger. Would you say, Riley, would love your opinions on, it probably could be just as likely that you would have a candidate who would run up a popularity and could hypothetically win? Or would you say hypothetically as well that it would be just as likely, if not more likely, that we could see more qualified candidates run, or see even better teams run as well, and see this go in a positive direction for the student body president in the future, and maybe even strengthen the case that they may have or have people to consider?
I absolutely think that's true, and I think the evidence actually supports that. In all of our current student body president races, we see that this kind of dynamic already play out. We don't see someone that's just running with a pure populist winning the election. We have highly qualified candidates that win, and they select highly qualified candidates. So I think that absolutely is going to play out.
I had Senator Hurt next.
Senator Hurt, on campus caucus, is this system comparable to any other student governments across the United States?
Absolutely. It's actually more of the norm, and we're more of the exception to the rule. And I think for many of the reasons that we kind of articulated in that
I have Senator Williams, sorry.
Senator Williams, followed by Diamond Taxes, just for a little bit of clarification, you're wanting this to be, or this act is saying that it's two separate races and not like a running mate kind of deal, or other way around?
It's the other way around. So it is a running mate. They'll be running on the same ticket and will be elected together.
I have Senator Applewhite.
Senator Aqua, virtual. When you're talking about comparing to other schools, their student government, is the norm more that the Speaker of the Senate does have advocacy roles, or more that the Vice President takes those advocacy roles?
I'm not highly versed on how that dynamic plays out in terms of administration, how students interact with them. I do know that some schools have an elected Speaker of the Senate, so in that case, it would kind of be kind of in between balance there. So.
Do I see any other questions for the author? Senator Hurt.
Senator Hurt Hawkins' caucus, would you say that more people representing the student body is essentially better than less?
Absolutely.
Do I see any other questions for the author? Seeing none, we thank him for his time. All right, with that, we will now move into a period of debate, starting with debate against this piece. Do I see any debate against this piece? Consider Applewhite. We'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds starting at Howdy.
Hey. I am Senator Aqua of the Bush Caucus, and I've quite frankly kind of debated in my own head whether or not I'd come down and speak to y'all. I think the heart behind this is really strong. I do agree that having representation for students is a positive thing. I think it'd be hard pressed to find someone in the student government that would argue with that. I think the issue that I find is that I don't see the ends justifying the means. I don't think that this act is the best way to go about receiving that representation. When I look at potential issues that come up through this, I look at other student governments and the fact that their representative voices come mostly from those top two elected positions, whether that be student body vice president or Speaker of the Senate. There really isn't a comparable student government. If we're trying to do comparable, there really isn't a student government that's comparable that has the student body president, the student body vice president, and the Speaker of the Senate, all three holding advocacy roles to administration. The Speaker of the Senate, in most places, is an elected vice president, instead runs basically the internal proceedings of the Senate. And I mean, this is up to y'all. Y'all get to choose what you want the Senate to look like, but if y'all want it to continue to have the same advocacy role, I would encourage y'all to vote against this. Additionally, I can see some issues with potential corruption, for lack of a better word, of this electoral system, where I could see myself, if I was a freshman and this act came up, I could see myself thinking a couple years in the future, making friends with some really well-known football player that would run on my ticket. And he would say, hey, I'm going to get you on the ticket and you're going to just take the photos and then you're going to resign immediately. If he resigns immediately, there's no safeguard protect against this. Then we get the same appointed system, but still the line of succession change. What I would vote for if this piece ever came up would be a strict line of succession change. I think the check of having this elected student senate appoint vice president is enough to have.
Weapon once again or less.
I think that would be enough to effectively represent the student voice, but I don't think this piece has the necessary requirements. Thanks, and Gabe.
All right, with that, we'll now move into the first round debate for this piece. So I've seen debate 4. I had Chairman Armstrong first. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds starting at Howdy.
Madam Speaker.
Howdy, Senate. Okay, Chair Armstrong, rules and regs. If you remember, when this came up last year, you might be surprised that I'm down here debating on the side of, this piece, but, your eyes do not deceive you. I am debating for the Supervisor Vice President. And let me tell you why. I think, when I look at, the landscape of comparable institutions, now we are the largest university in the nation, so comparable, playing fast and loose with definitions here, but the Good Senator was right to bring up our peer institution, right? The blessing, attending SEC exchange over the summer with the Speaker Blackburn and the Chief Justice and some others, and we had the chance to talk to all of the different SEC schools, student government associations, and we are the only student government in the entire SEC that only has one elected top SJ official, being our student vice president. Every single other school at least elect the vice president, and some of them then elect like a speaker type figure. Now, what the Good Senator was wrong about is that in all of those cases, that speaker loses their advocacy roles. The University of South Carolina is a great example of a school where they have an elected vice president, and the speaker retains massive advocacy roles on par with what the speaker has traditionally done at Texas A&M. So I want to calm your worries and saying that that's probably not going to happen here. The Senate has fairly strong ties to the rest of the administration and historically has done a great job at advising. So I think we can expect for that to continue. Really, from my conversations with SVP Coppinger, this would lighten the load on the student body president by allowing another student to hold that mantle of fully elected by the student body. Basically, the student body president's office, you call that, can get more places at once, which allows student government to be a more effective advocacy body. Now, lastly, when I think about more practical matters of student financing, we think about we want our student finances to be divvied up in a way that reflects the voice of the student body. And right now, that's done by SFF, that we heard from just a little while. Now, FGA appoints members to SFF. But right now, it's just whoever we want to appoint. If we were to have an elected vice president, we could potentially codify that member, that exec member who's elected by the
Please back up and once you answer us.
sit on SFAB to more accurately represent the will of the student body with their finances. Please vote yes.
All right, with that, we'll now move into the second round debate against this piece. Right, see any debate against this piece. Seeing none, we'll now move into second round debate for this piece. Right, see any debate for this piece. I see Senator Sloan. You'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to give me admin.
Howdy, Senate. Senator Sloan, off-campus caucus. I'll be quick. I love this act. I think that it puts the power in the hands of the students. What I believe about the Senate and what I believe about our student body is that we adhere to the core values, especially in this room. I think that we recognize the difference between right and wrong. So, like the Good Senator said earlier in the round of against debate, what would happen if that freshman, wanted to come to my they became best friend, super popular football player, one day ago to find the NFL. Let's say they both get elected, student body president, student body vice president, student body vice president drops down. What do we do as a Senate? Well, if you remember, Senate is empowered to be able to do something about this. There's a student body president that completely ignores the will of the student body, that twists words and campaigns improperly. Senate has something they can do about that. Okay. I think we all know what I'm talking about. In no way do I think the Senate would be, having power taken away from them. I think that this empowers Senate to have a greater standard for the things that we put out. I think that this is a place where the speaker can act as an advocate in running a Senate meeting really well. I think this is a place where we can advocate for students from across campus and say exactly what we believe, pass it out to the student body president, get signed in. I don't think that this really opens up the door for any cheating or any malfeasance. I think that this opens up the door for a great balance between the exec and the Senate. And with that, I yield to Senator Hurt.
Senator Hurt, you will have 44 seconds to get in your house.
County Senate. Senator Hurt off campus pockets. It's been about a year and a half in the making, we've advocated for this, more democracy, it's better democracy, more people advocating for the student body is better for the student body. Take it from a political science major, democracies that have students who actually vote are healthier democracies, need for more stable governments. And like the good senator said, which is a really strange thing that we're both advocating for the same thing good day that we do. I thought it's an effort on this separate. Anyway, so please vote yes, because we both have to be on with the student government, voting for it, you should too. And with that, I yield the floor.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we'll now move into the third and final round debate against this piece. So I see any debate against this piece. Seeing none, we'll now move into the third and final round debate for this piece. So I see any debate for this piece. Seeing none, that concludes debate, and we'll now move into a period of voting led by President Patel. But we will do this via standing vote. All those in favor of passing Senate Act 7703, the Student Body Vice President Act, please rise as you are able. All those opposed? By a vote of 41-1, this act does pass. All right, with that, we'll now move to our next item of business, Senate Act 7706, the Coordinating All Meetings Purposefully Act. If the author will please come to the floor. You'll have 10 minutes beginning at.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Hi, Senate. Chairman Morrison Plants, this is the Coordinating All Meetings Purposefully Act. There's no changes made to pass out of committee unanimously for your consideration. I can just real quick go over it, but basically what it does is it strikes the session about summer meetings. Summer meetings are governed in a very brief way. And also, if the argument may be made that, well, we're gonna have to have a first summer meeting, there's a process in place for calling meetings that is as effective, if not more effective, at ensuring we're able to conduct necessary business without creating things that have really weird rules that govern them that just aren't necessary.
All right, with that, the author is now open for questions. Do I see any questions for the author? I see Pro Tem Patel.
Pro Tem Patel, do you think eliminating the 2 meetings in the summer would slow down a productive session? Do you think there must be some legislation?
Not at all. I think so. Over the summer, we can just look at like I've been here for 2 sessions, but even further back, legislation generally is not passed at summer session meetings. This past summer, we had one piece of legislation that was built for the finance committee reallocating funding that did not ultimately get spent, and so it could have just been handled by the committee without doing legislation. We had 2 confirmations, and so that likely would have been called as a special session. So no, it would not slow down legislation. We see the legislation really ramp up in the fall.
Permission to back and forth. Were there not also multiple resolutions passed at both summer meetings, virtual session meeting this year?
I was unable to attend the first summer session meeting. I don't remember reading that in the
Of personal
minutes.
privilege, yes, there were 2 resolutions passed at the first summer session meeting.
At the second meeting that I was able to attend, there were no resolutions that were passed.
All right, guys, see any other questions? See none, we thank the author for his time. We will now move into a period of debate, starting the debate against this piece. Do I see any debate against this piece? I see Chairman Armstrong.
You know, figure. How to do it? Chairman Armstrong rules and regs. When I think about why I'm against this piece, I really just think about how I'm trying to run the Rules and Regs Committee this year, and what I'm trying to make our ethos as we make our necessary changes to the code. And one of the kind of guiding principles that I have is that I don't want to cut muscle when I'm just trying to cut fat. Right? I don't want to cut out too much in the pursuit of doing good changes, change more than we need to. And I think that's what this is doing. I think there are legitimate arguments for changes that need to be made to how we do summer meetings. For example, the attendance policy for summer meetings and how you can excuse only one absence for all of the summer meetings is different than regular meetings. I don't see why that should be. I would love to amend that. I would love to amend portions about when in the summer they can be called. But I do think that having a meeting, at least one during the summer, is essential to a well-functioning Senate. As the longest serving senator, I've seen quite a few summer meetings, productive meetings where we confirm cabinet members, where we pass legislation, getting stuff out of the way before the fall semester that we need to get out of the way that allows a productive Senate like this one to get work done right off the bat, hit the ground running. So I would love to see those amendments. I just don't think that this piece, like I said before, with some other acts, I don't want to wipe the slate clean and then build a new system. We can just tweak the one that we have. I think some amendments would be great, but I think wiping the whole thing clean is just a little bit heavy. So I think summer meetings are great. I think we should continue to have them. People who can't make them can get them excused. There's plenty of procedure for that. And I don't think that we should take away Senate's ability to do work over the summer. Because as we heard, we did some great work this summer. My baseball resolution passed in the summer meeting. I'm pretty proud of that one. So, anyways, I think we should vote against this. I think we should bring another piece, amending the process rather than deflecting. With that, I yield Senator Hurt. There's any time call.
Senator Hurt, you've got 16 seconds.
Alrighty, Senate, Senator Hurt, off-campus caucus. Great day, both aisles of the political side pursue better agree, vote to fail. With that, I yield to the floor.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, will now move into the first on debate for this piece. I see debate 4, I see Chairman Wilson. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds to getting out.
Chairman Morrison, Finance, howdy Senate. I think the bipartisan argument is quite interesting, but we can explore more about this later. But what I would love to hear in all this piece is a actual reason why it should say. We've heard that it will interfere with Senate's ability to do necessary work. There is a process in place that already exists without vulnerability in the code. We've heard that you can have your absences excused. Well, we just talked about that you can't. How the process governing that you can only have one of the potentially, if you're unable to attend both summers meetings, 4 absences excused. It's an unnecessary part of the code. It convolutes the code. And while in the grand scheme thing, it's not the biggest issue. I was talking to a friend about this piece, and I kind of described it like a pimple. Like, yes, it's not an absolute, it's not an open wound, but it's still something that should be dealt with. And so, with that, I yield to Senator Applewhite.
Senator Applewhite, you will have 1 minute and 29 seconds for getting a copy.
All right, Senate. I mean, Senator Applewhite, which will
Some of y'all eagle-eyed senators might have noticed that I did not vote against the previous piece. And that's because I admit if someone changes my mind and someone over here who's not in the room changed my mind. But no one's gonna really be able to change my mind on this because I've sat through way too many summer meetings and they are completely unnecessary and not very fun. And the fact that you can get 3 unexcused absences when you are truly excused for all 4 doesn't really make much sense. Also, I think the process for having a special session put in place more than enough makes up for this. We have plenty of ways that we can get stuff done if we really want to. And I think the fact that we call a Senate together when we can't physically come together is pretty pointless and stupid in my humble frat boy costume. Okay. With that, you'll look for. Oh.
We've already yielded to the floor. Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into second round debate against this speech. I see debate against this speech. I saw Senator Steele first.
Howdy. I just want to get something off the bat real quick. Sorry, I look a little bit goofy. I enjoy dressing up. Now I actually did a little bit of kind of research into this because I already had some issues.
That is true. You are out of order with that. We will now move into second round debate for this piece. Go see debate for this piece. I see Senator Horton.
Senator Morton, President Collins. Firstly, I'd like to say, President, I don't have the understanding or nuance of the summer session. However, I would say, I think something we can all agree upon is we'd like our summer to complete our own internships. We'd like our summer to complete our own activities. We'd like our summer to relax and have fun. With that, I yield the floor to Chairman Chu.
Seeing that Chairman Chu has been yielded to, you'll have 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Beginning at how.
All right, very true student services. All right, so essentially, I agree with Senator Horton, mainly because especially for like cadets like myself, who have to go to summer training, right? I was in Quantico for about a month and a half. And then after that, about a day after that, I was at a summer camp for 3 weeks where I literally had like no time because I was consistently supervising children. And because of that, it just, having that meeting in those meetings in the summers added to my counts of attendance because I couldn't request, when I was at training, I couldn't request the absence, right? Or the excuse, that's the word. And yeah, it's again, like Senator Applewhite said, it's kind of pointless. I yield the floor to Chair Bass.
Student Chair Bass has been yielded to, you will have 1 minute and 13 seconds to get that.
Howdy, Senate. I'm Chairman Bass. I'm in agreement with Chairman Chu as well as Sarah Horton. I'm going the airport route to do some trainings that are required, and that is a huge part of it. But I'm also gonna I'm in more agreement with Senator Horton. I had the privilege of working at summer camp this last summer, and I was not able to take the second session. Then I was traveling with family in the first part of the summer, and I was like, crap, I sent you tonight. And we just didn't get anything done. In my so with that, I just don't see a point in them. I think they're burden rather than a blessing. And yeah, let's make some great. That I yield.
Senator Gaines, 21 seconds to get it.
Senator Gaines, Indira Caucus. I don't know about how y'all spend your summers, but I know a majority of us either have internships or camp. I personally work at a camp with T Brown, and I'd rather spend my summer sharing the gospel to kids than being.
Time's up. We, seeing that, we'll now move to the third round debate against, I saw Pro Temp Patel first.
Eli Patel, Speaker Pro Tempore, howdy Senate. I think we got good work done during these meetings. During the 75th session, they looked at their chairs during these meetings. We passed multiple resolutions, including the second meeting, and a bill. We got work done. I think we got good work done. Now we wouldn't have had if we didn't call those meetings. I think if we had to call emergency meetings to do stuff, our attendance would be truthfully pretty abysmal, because we have these things that happen in the summer, and I think if people aren't able to prepare for it, we won't be able to make it. But even so, I was studying abroad in Ireland. I made it out to those meetings. It was 2 a.m. I didn't feel intimidated at all in what I was doing. There are multiple people at internships and work jobs. They were able to do what they were doing. I think more legislation is always better. I yield to Chairman Armstrong.
Seeing that Chairman Armstrong has been yielded to you, 1 minute and 43 seconds to act on it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Howdy, Senate. Chairman Armstrong, I wanna go out and say something that I've been saying in conversations about the piece in other places other than Trim, but I have this feeling that if you're gonna be a senator, you should not complain about Trim communities, like, if you're gonna be a senator, be a senator, you know? We all knew we were getting ourselves into when we got ourselves elected, and if we didn't, that's our fault for not doing our research. If we wanna talk about the attendance policy, we can talk about the attendance policy. But I don't think we should take away those opportunities to pass good legislation like we did this session, like we did last session. Furthermore, I worked in summer camp for 2 summers. I did not work for T-Roy, I borrowed a friend's hat, but I worked at Ponco, but both summers, I attended summer session meetings. I made arrangements to do what I thought was important, which was attend a Senate meeting. 1 3-hour meeting out of a half summer camp or twice in a full summer camp really is not that big of a deal. Now, they're in the evenings, you're working an internship. I really hope you're not doing your job at 7 p.m. at night. That kind of sounds like a tough internship. And so I think all of this comes back to, if you're gonna be a senator, be a senator. If you don't like to meetings, don't be a senator. Like this, it's not hard. Just don't go. Also, if 1 or 2 or 3 absences over the summer is enough of a problem to push you over the threshold into absencing out, that tells me that you miss a lot more meetings than just the summer meetings. If you plan on attending meetings, you can afford to miss the summer meetings, as I have before, because you're not gonna get pushed over. Again, let's not take away the opportunities to pass good legislation like we did this session, like we did last session, like the session before that, because we don't want to this summer. Just don't
Please
show up.
have something once and come to us.
I'm done.
With that, we'll now move into the third and final round of debate. Against this piece, I saw Senator Hurt first. State your motion.
One order.
Pause. Sorry, Senator Hurt, you're out of order. Sorry, Senator Applewhite, you're out of order. Senator Steele, you have a motion.
Senator Steele off campus caucus. I motion to extend the round of debate extend debate by 1 round.
Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, it is undebatable but amendable as to rounds. We'll attempt to do this via general consent. All those in favor of extending debate by 1 round, please. Do I see any objections to extending debate by 1 round?
Yes, sorry.
An objection is not secondable, but seeing that has been objected, we will now move into doing this via a standing vote. All those in favor of extending the round of debate by 1 round, please rise as you are able. All those opposed? By a vote of 5 to 28, this motion does fail. With that, we are now in the third and final round debate for this piece. I see Senator Applewhite. We'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds beginning at.
Hey. How are you? Senator Applewhite, Bristol. If we have stuff that we want to get done, that's what special session's for. I'm just gonna, say it as I've said it again. That's plain and simple. If we want to get stuff done, we have special session. We have so many other times that we can't get stuff done. And this is just unnecessary. Like the other good senator said, I want to make summers great again. Well, I'm not gonna go so far as to say that, vote against this is a vote against the gospel or sharing the gospel. I'm not gonna say that. But I will say that I think we do deserve the right to, say how we want to spend our summer time. And if there is something that the students need, we get to do that through special session. Thanks, and Gigam. I yield to my sister, the good Senator Applewhite.
Seeing that Chair Applewhite has been yielded to, you should have 1 minute and 32 seconds beginning at house.
Chair Applewhite, this is Jonesy Affairs. I just want to say, I was working an internship at 7 p.m. So just putting that out there. Also, it's fine, I liked it. Anyhow, also, if we look at any of our other orgs, unless it's fish camp, we're not having meetings this summer. Sororities, women's orgs, men's orgs, whatever, you don't meet in the summer because that's not what you sign up for. You sign for a school org during the school year. And with that, I yield to Chair Morrison.
Seeing that Chair Morrison has been yielded to, you have 50 seconds beginning at howdy.
Chair Morrison, Finance, Patty said it. Hopefully just wrap this up. This is a bad piece of code. We have a process if we need to get stuff done. The chairs are continuing to work over the summer. And if we need to confirm members of cabinet, elect chairs, or pass legislation, the speaker, the student body president, or a third of the Senate by petition can call a special session. We have a process that will make sure I'm confident that if things need to happen, then we will have a special session, but what we won't have is meetings where nothing happens and it's not like it's just a waste of everybody's time. I encourage you to support the piece and agree with this piece of that code. With that, I yield to the floor.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, that concludes debate, and with that, we will now move into a period of voting led by Pro Tem Patel. Vote to via a standing vote. All those in favor of the passage of SA 7706, please rise as you're able. All those opposed? By a vote of 37-7, this piece does pass. With that, we'll now move into Senate Bill 7705, the Outreach Exploration Bill. If the author will please come to the floor.
Senator Steele, off campus. Okay, so first of all, I'm really glad to be down here presenting this bill again. I had some wonderful conversations with both Chair Applewhite and the External Relations Vice President, Ms. Johnson. They are both in relative support of this. We sent this to Constituency Affairs Committee, and the only thing we really changed about it is that we pushed that timeline a bit back. So originally, when I wrote this and first presented this, this was going to be, the report that's written is going to be presented, on the last Senate meeting of this semester, in late November. We pushed that back to the, I believe it was the first meeting of next semester, so it's January 20, can we scroll down?
Yes.
Just to get that exact date, yes, January 22nd, the first Senate meeting of the semester. So essentially what that means is that we'll have a joint meeting between the CA and ER, and then we're going to have the ER vice president and the CA chair write a joint report, and then that joint report is going to be read out to y'all January 22nd. Again, the first student Senate meeting of the semester. And that's pretty much all I have to give on it. I'm sure y'all probably read through this before, and I've given my explanation as to why this is here. So, I mean, I'm open for questions now.
All right, with that, the author is now open for a period of questions. Do I see any questions for the author? I see Chairman Morrison.
Chairman Morrison, Finance, you expressed that.
So when I said relative support, all I meant by that was, I did ask, Chair Applewhite if she wanted to sponsor it. She kind of was more opposed to that just because she wanted to see more impartial, which I probably should have said, my mistake. But when I meant relative support, I just meant they support it. That's kind of all I meant. The only reason I put relative there is because, Chair Applewhite didn't put her name.
Granted.
What did you hear from high school?
So Johnson, she had a little bit concerns about the, just kind of a little bit of misinterpretation with it, to my memory. But she just kind of needed an explanation of what it did, kind of why we have it, and kind of my philosophy on it, and then she was in support. If you have any questions about that, you can also talk to her herself, but I'm gonna be open with you. We did have a meeting together. She was in support of it. She didn't have anything really wrong with it. She wasn't even against the November 20th deadline. That wasn't, she thought she could do it by then, but we changed that. So she.
Do I see any other questions for the author? Senator Horton.
Senator, question about this. Senator Steele, we talked a little bit about this bill, and I just want to be more to explain why we need this bill to do this, to have a do this, which is one of that.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good question. I kind of had a discussion with our good rules and regulations chair about that, and we were kind of talking about the philosophy of what a bill does. And a philosophy I have with a bill is that it kind of has something that may be a priority to a person, and a bill bumps up that list on their priorities. So essentially, are both of our CA chair and our ER vice president, this is something they would both really like to work on, but maybe they're busy, they have something else to do. Ms. Johnson is a part of the 12th CAN, so that is she is a pretty busy person on top of being on the executive cabinet, but both of them are in support of this. So it kind of bumps up their priorities. As to kind of what makes it different from just normally what both of these committees do is that it makes them have a joint meeting, which is not something that's in the code. They don't have to do that according to the code. And it also makes them write a report to the student senate, who will then affect kind of how we do outreach in the future in accordance to like funding for the next session and all and that sort of deal. Both of those actions are not required by the code at all.
Thank you, Senator.
Do I see any other questions for the author? Seeing none, we thank the author for his time. With that, we will now move into a period of debate, starting debate against this piece of
Did you steal that from my home?
Chairman Martin, I need to pass on this piece of that. So I guess.
Seeing that this motion has been made and seconded, it is debatable and unamendable and will require a two-thirds vote. We will now move into debate on this motion. We'll start debate against this. Take your point.
So I know what this means for sure. What does that mean?
Yes, so. Yes, sorry, I'm a little disturbed by what just happened here. The table indefinitely.
Point of order.
State your point.
Chairman Martin, finance, you did put everyone else. Chairman did not say anything else.
That is correct. You are out of order.
Madam Chair, point of personal privilege
State your point.
to address the chamber.
Yeah, correct.
Chairman Armstrong, R&R, to explain what we're doing here. A motion to postpone indefinitely. It says in the name, it postpones the piece indefinitely, which means that this piece is kind of like tabling, where we would table a piece until maybe the next meeting or the one after that, if we need time to discuss. It postponed indefinitely, postpones it forever. Effectively until the end of the session. The 78th session, if they desire to, could resurrect the piece, but if this motion were to pass, this session would not be able to consider this piece or anything just like it until the end of the session. It is debatable but unamendable and requires a two-thirds vote.
Thank you. With that, we will now move into debate on this motion. We will start with debate against the motion. Do I see any debate against the motion? I saw Senator Hurt. 2 minutes, please.
Howie Senate, Senator Hurt off Kansas caucus. I think you should hold Senator Peake to the fire, to be honest. If you want to vote against it, vote against it. If you want to vote for it, vote for it. Just don't try and indefinitely postpone. Let's just, vote on that position itself. I think we should hold accountability. Out of respect that this legislation has already gone through committee, I think it is our due diligence to live up to that equal value respect in the law legislation itself. With that, I yield to the board.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into the first round debate for this motion. Do I see debate for this motion? I see Chairman Armstrong. Not Chairman Armstrong, Chairman Armstrong.
Chairman Morrison, Finance, Heidi Senate. I shaded the idea that moving to postpone indefinitely is disrespectful. It's Robert's rules, but to speak specifically on it, when we talk about what should be a bill, what should be an act, what should be a resolution, this is not something that should be a bill. This is something that should be a conversation. I know we talked about how the session could get legislative house, but passing things should be.
State your point.
Senator Steele, off Kansas caucus, Chair Morrison, came down and went against his own motion that he called for. I believe that violates the rules of decorum as according to Robert's rules.
I do agree in that your motion, that is correct following Robert's rules of order. However, I am unclear as to how Chairman Morrison's debate goes against his original motion. As he's
Went down and said he agreed that it's violates the
it's not,
Oh, my mistake.
yeah.
Withdraw.
He was thinking.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll reclaim my time, but this is not something that should be a bill. This should be a conversation. It should not pass bad legislation for the sake of passing legislation. With that, I yield to Chairman Armstrong.
Seeing that Chairman Armstrong has been yielded to, you will have 1 minute and 48 seconds.
Hi, Senate. Okay, Chairman Armstrong, rules and regs. I was gonna debate against these in regular debate, but efficiency might as well get that faster. So, I'll take it now. The commission motion has been made. In conversations with VP Jonathan and Chair Applewhite, my general assessment is that neither person is particularly interested in the same passage. Anywhere from, I don't really care to, I don't really like this very much. But if it passes, I'll have the meeting. That was what I got from the good chairwoman and the vice president. Now, it's my opinion that if we're gonna force somebody to do something that's already their job, they could do an email or a conversation. You should only do it if they're like super excited about doing it, like, yes, please pass this bill. Neither of those people are super excited about the passage of this bill. And so I think both of these people verbally expressing over and over to me, this is something that they want to do, they will do, should suffice to tell us we don't need to pass this bill. The good Chair Morrison said, we don't need to pass legislation just for the sake of passing legislation, especially when it tells people to do things that if they didn't do, they wouldn't be doing their job. So with that, I yield to Chair Wilhite.
Chair Wilhite, you will have 30 seconds to do that.
I think that this bill is good in theory, but honestly, kind of like redundant. I think that we've already done a lot of stuff this year that's kind of like pushed what other issues that have passed. And like we continue to do that, even within Senate, like we're always talking about what to do for other people. Stuff like that. So this bill, although it's good in theory, I just think that it doesn't really have. So, and with that, I yield to.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into the second round of debate against this motion. Do I see debate against this motion? I saw Senator Edgington first.
Senator Edgington on campus. Okay, I don't usually come down here to speak for y'all, but I'm just really confused about what keeps happening because we keep debating on whether to debate this bill. I don't really understand why we don't just vote on it. My name is Bill, I obviously support it, but I'm honestly just kind of confused. I haven't been sitting here for long, so I don't really know how things work yet. So I usually kind of think about it, see, I fall to things, I go to things, and I try to learn. And I think what I'm confused about right now is just, I think we just voting on the bill, because if we vote on the bill, then we can actually debate for or against the bill, instead of debating if we should debate it. Just go ahead and do it. And I don't think that we've done this to any other bills, so I'm kind of confused about why we keep doing it this time. I didn't see anything, we talked about it twice, and we made amendments that we think work. I think Chairwoman Applewhite made really good suggestions and amendments, and we really worked on the bill. So I just asked, let's just go ahead and debate it, vote on it, and if you don't like the bill, by all means vote against it. But it's not keep wasting time, and let's just get to like the meat of the argument. So with that being said, I yield to the result.
Seeing that Senator Pritzlaff has been yielded to 1 minute and 22 seconds beginning at
Senator Pritzlaff on campus caucus. For those of you that are not informed, this is a kind of a weak motion to avoid actually having to debate the issue, as Senator Edgington alluded to. Quite frankly, the argument against this piece is we don't want to make people do their jobs because they say they're going to do their jobs. If they don't want to do their jobs because they were going to do it anyways, then we should pass this piece and say, hey, we, the Senate, think that we should engage with students more, and then maybe they'll just do what they're going to do anyways. And if this was just supposed to be a conversation, I really don't understand the argument against this piece. Voting against this just says we, the Senate, don't want to engage with students. I think it's the wrong message sent. That's the exact message we're sending right now by refusing to even talk about this. And quite frankly, I would support it.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into the round debate for this motion. Do I see debate for this? State your motion. Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, it is undebatable, unamendable, and will require a 2/3 vote. Comes to this via general consent. Do I see any objections to the motion?
I object.
Being that there's an objection, we will now do this via a standing vote. All those in favor of moving to previous question, please rise as you're able. This is in favor of Senator Steele's motion. Yeah, state your point.
What? Senator Kowalski, office caucus.
Yeah, I'll clarify here. So since we were debating on Chairman Morrison's motion to table indefinitely. We're in debate, Senator Steele motion to move previous question. That means instead of that halting debate on Chairman Morrison's motion to now vote on Chairman Morrison's motion, we're not voting on the piece itself. We're voting on if we move to vote on Chairman Morrison's motion. Or do we do it, or if you're voting for, you're voting to stop debating and to move into voting. If you're voting against, you're voting to keep debating. So all those in favor of Senator Steele's motion. Voting. Hey. All those opposed? Down. By a vote of 36-2, Senator Steele's motion does pass. We will now immediately move into voting on Chairman Morrison's motion to table indefinitely. All those in favor of tabling SB 7705 indefinitely, please rise as you are able. So again, we're voting on Chairman Morrison's motion to table this piece indefinitely. So if you're standing right now, you are for the motion. In a second, if you're against tabling this piece, and then we'll move into debate on this piece. So if you're for this motion. All those opposed? By a vote of 8-20, this motion does fail. All right, we got kind of in the weeds there. We are now in debate on the piece itself, starting the debate against the piece. Let's debate against the piece. I see Chairman Artis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Stay quiet.
Howdy, Senate. Howdy. Chairman Armstrong, rules and regs. So a brief summary and then some new arguments. So my sole baseline motivation for being against the piece, and I was debating earlier because there was time to debate against, and I voted against the motion to postpone because I wanted more debate time. So now I get more debate time. I think the most fundamental reason that we need to vote this piece down is because the people that we are tasking to do things are already going to do the things we're tasking for. And this legislation is going to be a waste of the paper and printer ink that we just printed out and a waste of time to email it to the people that are on our recipients list. They're going to do it. Let's let them do it. Now, you've heard that before. So let's go about the new things. Furthermore, I think the piece is just kind of poorly written. I generally don't like using word/word in the grammar of pieces. There's a point in here that says currently the main/only in-person outreach provided. It seems just unclear as what we're saying. There are many points in this that just kind of don't make sense. And then also, again, we're tasking someone to do something that they explicitly say they're going to do and they want to do. It's actually part of their job. And I think this is a waste of time. Now, that is why we did the motion to table indefinitely. We did it last time, we did it again this time, or not to consider last time, is because this is a waste of time. We're going to keep debating a piece that if it passes, it's going to be a waste of time. Printer paper, it's actually kind of expensive, legislative paper, it's nice and there. And a waste of printer ink. I don't think we should be doing this when the piece is tasking someone to do things they're already gonna do, they've said many times that they want to do. It seems like a waste of time just for the sake of passing legislation. So with that, please put this thing down and I yield to Senator Horton.
Seeing that Senator Horton has been yielded to, you will have 29 seconds beginning at time. And yield to the point, you can talk really fast.
Senator Horton, freshman caucus, howdy. So first of all, Senator Still, I'd like to say thank you for writing this bill. I've talked to you many times about this, but ultimately, this is an ideological thing as a libertarian conservative. I don't know if I see the need for, in what I view, an unnecessary bill. And I think some of you here also share that same ideology, and I would ask you to support this thing. I yield support.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move to the first round debate for this piece. So I see debate for this piece. I saw Senator Hurt first.
Senator. Senator Hurt, Kansas Caucus. I know we're getting late tonight, so two things. First, just two key things. First and foremost, this, I know people keep saying, oh, the paper's expensive, printing is expensive. I remember buying some of these, we paid a lot of money for that. I agree with that. However, this is our first actual bill of legislation that says, yes, we are prioritizing student engagement on the actual level. We're saying, yes, we on printed paper, yes, we want to encourage student engagement. That's argument number one. Argument number two. Everyone says, well, they're already going to do it. So why print this paper? Why task them to do it? Because there is no mechanism to say that they won't fulfill that. Just because they say they don't, as much as I believe in the Agnew Code, what if they don't? Then we as senators did not follow that due diligence and hold their feet to the fire. I believe that we need to hold senators accountable, hold our executives accountable to prioritizing student engagement. I think we all agree that student engagement is a key issue that we as a student government are wanting to promote. This legislation has exactly that. First, by prioritizing, by putting on this first. Secondly, it holds their feet to the fire. And I will ask them the third one. We have a discussion about what other people think. And ask the committee, senators. We have multiple senators work on this legislation, so it's good legislation because we have our bodies do it. I believe out of respect of our CA committee, we should stand in firm affirmation of passing this legislation because they're made from them. They're on the with that, I yield to Senator Steele.
Seeing that Senator Steele has been yielded to, you will have 51 seconds starting at Howdy.
Howdy. Senator Steele on Kansas Caucus. I just wanted to address some concerns here because I know we're actually talking about the bill itself now and just not whether to vote on the bill now. So first of all, I just want to start with saying bills of this manner have been presented in the past and have been voted on and passed in the past. This type of bill that essentially requests that a committee or a commission does something is not entirely out of the question and is not this new thing I simply conjured up out of thin air. Also, I think the senators who have come down and debate against this are confusing the constituency affairs and external relations job with their plan. The job of CA and ER is outreach. Their job is not to have a joint committee meeting and write a report. That's simply.
Please have us in 1 sentence or less.
Also, one of the arguments is that there's a slash in my bill. If that is your best argument, that is silly.
All right, with that, we will now move to the second round of debate.
Madam Speaker, I have a motion.
Please state your motion.
Pro Tem Patel, I move to amend the piece, let it be further enacted one, to strike the word tasks and replace it with recommends that. Second.
Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, it is debatable and is amendable and will require a 2/3 vote. We will now move into debate on this amendment in 1 second. Pro Tem Patel, is the amendment already reflected in the piece?
No, give me.
Guys, please stay quiet. All right, with that, we will now move into debate on this motion, starting with the debate against this motion. Do I see any debate against this amendment? I see Senator Vernon. You have 2 minutes, 30 seconds, starting at County.
Okay, Senator Vernon, Council of Sciences, how do you say that? Okay, for me, this is my personal fear, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I feel like changing tasks to recommend that doesn't really, I mean, you can be like, oh, I recommend you do this, that doesn't mean they're gonna do it. Like, we want a change, we want something to happen, we're going to task them with creating that change that we want to happen. I don't think saying like, oh, can you please do this, and then saying, maybe if I want to, it doesn't do anything. Like, that doesn't create the change that we want. That doesn't make them be more outreach more. That doesn't create anything that we want to happen. We want people to know about Senate. They don't know about Senate if we recommend it, and they don't do it. And with that, I yield to Senator Sloan.
Seeing that Senator Sloan has been yielded to, you have 1 minute and 47 seconds, starting at County.
Howdy. Senator Sloan, All Campus Caucus. That would waste even more ink. If we change by changing it, let's say we pass it, if it says it recommends that, that is just weak. Like, if we're gonna pass it, let's make it actually say something. I'm kind of indifferent on this, but if we change it to recommends that, and then we send it to General Ramirez and all them, they're gonna be like, who cares if they recommend something? Like, no, seriously, they will not care. They'll actually, I bet they'll think less of us if we're just recommending things to each other. Like, it was recommended to me to wear a costume, and I forgot. So if maybe someone, I don't know, tasked me with wearing a costume, I maybe would have worn one. But this, I mean, not even talking about the bill itself and what it does. I just think this is an irrelevant ad to make something worse. Why would we want to make a bill worse and then pass it? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Waste more ink, like I said. And with that, I yield to Chair Will Height.
Seeing that Chair Will Height has been yielded to, she will have 37 seconds, starting at Howdy.
Just like same points that I brought before, and then like adding on to Cole's point, like really now that we have recommended that, like it really is just really redundant. Because again, we're already like some of the stuff that brainstorming, like we're already doing that. Like SGA as a whole is brainstorming ways to get more people involved. So like to have something that recommends that SGA is already doing something that it is currently doing is just a waste of time, a waste of paper. And so yeah. And with that,
in 1 sentence or less.
And with that, I go to the
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into the first round debate for this motion. Do I see any debate for this motion? I see Pro Tem Patel.
Pro Tem Patel, Howdy Senate. Frankly, I find the notion that the Senate's recommendation is worthless to be kind of offensive. Second of all, just looking at this piece, I think that it may set a dangerous precedence of slinging around legislation that tasks executive this, tasks executive do that. I know that sometimes a touchy subject in the past, what it means to task them to do something. And I think especially when there's a big conversation about how much a bill like this is necessary to get people to do something that takes part of their job, slinging around things saying tasking this, tasking that. I think I like the precedence that it sets. With that, I yield to the floor.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into second round debate against this motion. Do I see a debate against this motion? State your motion.
Motion, previous question.
Second.
Seeing that the motion has been made and seconded, this motion is undebatable and unamendable and will require a 2/3 vote. It'll tend to be a voice vote. All those in favor of move previous question, please say aye. All opposed? It is the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and this motion does pass. With that, we will now move into voting on the amendment. With that, we'll tend to this via a voice vote as well. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is the opinion of the chair, the ayes, not the ayes, the nays have it, and this motion does fail. With that, we are now still in debate.
Madam Speaker, I have a motion.
Please state your motion.
Pro Tem Patel, I move to amend this piece, whereas 3, I move to strike should look into other means of outreach and add would benefit from researching new methods of expanding student outreach.
Second.
Seeing this motion has been made and seconded, it is debatable and amendable and will require a 2/3 vote. We'll now move into debate on this amendment. Are you getting it reflected?
Point of information,
State your point.
Senator Sloan, on-campus caucus. So you don't like this as it is, Senator Patel. Is this going to change how you vote at all? I feel like we're just wasting time at this point.
Point of order.
State your point.
Chairman Morrison, consider.
I'm going to have to agree with the chair on that, and I'm gonna have to call Senator Slack out of order. With that, we are now debating on this motion as soon as it's reflected in the case. All right, with that, let's start debate against this motion. Do I see debate against this motion? I see Senator Purcell. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds beginning at County.
Howdy, Senate, Senator Fritzlaw, Line Campus Caucus. You're wondering what's going on right now. This is what a filibuster looks like. They're gonna keep making these motions, that don't really do anything to make the bill worse, until we get tired and give up. With that, I urge you to vote against this because it doesn't do anything, and I do support.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move to first one debate for this motion. Do I see debate for this motion? I had Chairman Armstrong first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Chair Armstrong, welcome to the County Senate. Man, I really poignant debate from the previous senator. Determined too. I think it would be great if we didn't have to waste time on this piece, man. Like it's almost like we had a motion earlier. We saved us all this time. Not considering a piece that is not fit to be passed. And so why not make some amendments to make it more fit to be passed? Or we could have just done the thing before and not consider the piece. So we could have. And so I think to say that making amendments and exercising our legislative authority as a student senate being a bad thing is an affront to the job of the student senate. And we're here to pass legislation, make amendments in the room, and to do our job. This is the bad piece that I don't think is happening.
Please keep other discussions at a minimum.
I agree with the previous motion to change TAP to recommend, because again, tapping people to do things they're already gonna do doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So now we have another motion to amend, and I think as long as we're gonna waste time on the piece, we might as well waste time. So with that, I yield to Pro Tem.
Saying that Pro Tem Patel has been yielded to, you will have 1 minute and 13 seconds beginning at County.
Pro Tem Patel, howdy, I just want to talk about what I'm doing here. My intention is not to filibust. Had we not called previous question, early debate, I would have told y'all that I had a lot of problems with the way that a lot of this piece is worded, and that had we moved here, I would be making some amendments. So that's basically the reason why I just looking at the piece.
I think should look into other means of outreach. I know it doesn't feel like it lives up to the professional standards of legislation I would have here. I thought maybe researching about this, like it does. I mean, if you disagree, feel free to vote against it. I think it does. You can look at that and decide for yourself. That's my intention here, and I'll probably appear again with a couple of minutes here in a second. I yield to the floor.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into the second round of debate against this motion. Do I see debate? State your motion.
Senator Steele, I'll keep the call. I motion with previous question.
Second.
Thank you. Seeing that the motion has been made and seconded as undebatable and unamendable and will require a 2/3 vote, we'll attempt to do this via a voice vote. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
It is the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it, and this motion does pass. We'll now be voting on the amendments by Pro Tem Patel. All those in favor of the amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
It is the opinion of the chair that the nays have it. Seeing that division has been called for.
One of the things.
Yes, you're right.
Senator Williams, I'll do that in my time, please. Are we going to vote amendments right now, or just the one on the rest? Just the whereas three.
Just the whereas three, the one in Lighting Act 1 failed, so now it's removed. And so now we're working on whereas 3 here. Okay, seeing the division has been called, we'll do this via standing vote. All those in favor of the motion, please rise as you are able. All those opposed? By a vote of 4 to 25, this motion does fail. With that, we are.
Motion.
Who won the motion? Chairman Bath.
Chairman Bath, Select Committee, I move to reconsider the motion. Second.
Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, it is debatable, unamendable.
I think it's point of first privilege.
State your point. Guys, please keep your conversations to a minimum. Thank you.
Chair Armstrong, R&R, I'll echo the Speaker Blackburn in saying that if you have the conversations, we have a beautiful hallway to the left and right and behind you, so we can stick your conversations to. But again, to explain what's going on here, a motion to reconsider can be made by someone who voted yes to a motion that failed already. So, for example, Chairman Bass voted in favor of postponing indefinitely a little while ago, and that motion failed. So he is now eligible to move to reconsider that motion, which just runs it back and does it again. So it's been made and seconded. It is debatable but unamendable, and 2/3. Thanks again.
All right. Seeing the motion has been made and seconded, debatable, amendable, will require 2/3 vote. We'll start debate against the motion. Do I see debate against the motion? I see Senator Steele. Two minutes and 30 seconds starting at copy.
Truly, if God wanted us to get something done, he wouldn't have invented the filibuster. I think the reason this is kind of Senator Steele off the caucus, I believe the reason this is moving back here is simply to waste more time. Again, if you are against this piece, you simply go against it. Or you can come down and tell me why you're against it. But we can also, if this piece is voted down, we can go and amend it in committee, or we can make something that's similar but different, that doesn't have any slashes in it. However, if you just want to strike it indefinitely, you can also do that. I think it wastes the Senate time. And I think the fact that we've already voted on this and that it's being reconsidered is just a testament to how little some people value your time. And with that, I yield.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into sort of first round debate for this motion. I see debate for this motion. I see Chairman Morrison. For 2 minutes and 30 seconds. to do that.
Howdy Morrison, Chairman Morrison, Finance. I just real quick want to talk about housing work. If Senator Bass's motion passes, we will reconsider we want to postpone indefinitely. And if you vote in the affirmative to postpone indefinitely, we'll be done talking about this piece. And with that, I yield to Speaker Pro Tem.
Seeing that Pro Tem Patel has been yielded to, you will have 2 minutes and 13 seconds starting at
Pro Tem Patel, howdy. I gotta say, I'm truthfully from the bottom of my heart not here to filibuster. I want to go home and eat a late dinner as much as y'all do. But I just like in my heart feel like the amendments I have would benefit the piece to make it more professional, especially sending it to General Ramirez. And if we continue on the debate, I have plenty more amendments that we can propose to y'all. I yield to the floor.
Seeing that the floor has been yielded to, we'll now enter the second round of debate against this motion. I see debate against this motion. I saw Senator Hurt for this.
I'm Senator. Senator Hurt, off campus caucus. I want us to take a notice on this a little bit. It is the same, you keep speaking, and I'm not here trying to waste your time. I mean, wholehearted. Let us just vote on the legislation as it is. If it fails, it fails, and if it passes, it passes. And you know what happens? We as senators did our job. We know how we could benefit. If it fails, we can work on it again. We can add to their curtailed commitments later on. If it passes, that means we as Senate think it's a good job. I mean, it passed the committee itself. We had multiple senators, took the time to actually evaluate and take time for the meeting to pass it. I think that is reason enough alone to say that our best and our brightest of our Senate work on this legislation. I think it is our job to give them that due diligence and that respect on looking and actually voting on the legislation as is. Now, if you don't like the legislation, vote to fail. If you want to stay for time, vote on the actual bill and stop trying to make these amendments. Or if you want to, send it back to committee. But at this point, please just actually vote on the legislation so we can take its stand and move on to other party issues. With that, I go to the floor.
See, the floor has been yielded to, we'll now move into the second round of debate for this motion. The stage your motion.
Senator Steele, off campus. Motion to previous question.
Second.
Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, it is undebatable and unamendable and will require a 2/3 vote. We'll attempt this via a voice vote, and I'll again clarify on what exactly it is we're voting on here. We are voting to move, we're voting to move to voting on the motion to suspend indefinitely. All those in favor of Senator Steele's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it. With that, we will now immediately move into voting on Chairman Bass's motion. All those in favor of suspending the piece indefinitely, please rise as you are able. Yes, you can.
Senator Williams, college back, I was saying, voting on the motion to reconsider. Just vote on the motion.
Thank you. We're voting. Yes. It's correct. We are voting on the motion to reconsider. So what this will do, if this motion passes, we will then now consider the motion again to suspend indefinitely.
So I mean, we have to debate again.
That was out of order. But I'll explain too. So if this motion does pass, we will now then reconsider the motion to suspend indefinitely. And so that means we will go through debate and voting again on the motion to suspend the piece indefinitely. If it fails, we'll move back to debate on the piece, which we are to clarify still in the first round against the piece. Okay. All those in favor of of the motion to reconsider, please stand. All those opposed? By a vote of 7-17, this motion does fail. Please state your motion.
Senator Monk Hopkins' caucus motion to suspend the rules and immediately vote on the legislation as it stands.
Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, give me one. Brief state at ease, Senator Williams. I don't want to get this wrong. Okay. Seeing this motion has been made and seconded, it is undebatable, unamendable, and will require a majority vote.
Citizen will require.
Point of order.
Orders on my.
Point of order, Chair Chu.
That is correct. I'm sorry, you are out of order, but your point is duly noted, and that is 2/3. Okay. Seeing this motion, has been made and seconded, undebatable, unamendable, and will require a 2/3 vote. We will immediately move into voting on this motion. We are voting on the motion to move to vote to this piece. So we're not voting on the piece, we're voting to vote on the piece. Okay. All those in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and immediately move to voting, please rise if you're able. All those opposed? By a vote of 38-2, this motion does pass. State your point.
Senator Steele, Hawkins topic permission to address the chamber.
Very briefly, and this cannot turn into debate.
I know all of us are tired right now. Vote on the merits of the bill, not on that.
Okay. With that, we're now going to move into voting on this piece. All those in favor of passing SB 7705, please rise as you are able. All those opposed? By a vote of 16-22, this piece does fail. With that, that concludes old business. I am going to call a brief 3-minute recess. Please be back in your seats at 9:08.
Well, I can. Vice President, Mr. Friday. Thanks.
You can take your seats.
Your mom never do it.
Give it a motion. Motion. Please. Commissioner Radcliffe, all Candace Coggins. Motion to adjourn the meeting. See, I'm gonna pause until we get everyone back in the room, but you're still recognized and we're gonna address this. Alright. Senator Ratcliffe has made a motion to adjourn. This motion has been made and seconded. It is debatable, unamendable, and will require a 2/3 vote. We will now be moving into debate formation. Please give me one.
Senator Ames, College of Engineering. I think I have the right one, I don't know, but does this mean that all of the business we have left will come to the next meeting? We have to make the next meeting longer?
Yes. We'll now move into debate on this motion. I'm going to start with the point of personal privilege on this motion. I agree that this has been a long night for a lot of debate. I'm not discrediting that by any ways. However, what is left on this agenda is much shorter than what we've been through so far. And considering as we only have 2 meetings left of the semester, I urge you to consider this carefully. With that, we'll now move into debate against this motion. I have Senator Sloan first.
Howdy. I like it. I like it. I like it. That was good. I do also want to get it, but Fish Fest was great. I think that it was.
State your plan.
The good stuff. Stick his name on.
Fish Fest was great. It's really.
Senator Sloan, I am so sorry you are out of order. With that,
Fish Fest was good.
we will now move to the first round debate for this motion. Do I see any debate for this motion? I see Senator Ratcliffe.
Secretary Ratcliffe, off campus caucus. I have a test on Friday I really need to study for, and I can't study because it's so loud. Sure. And it's just been really long. I feel like we're just fighting each other. I'm not really getting it done, not productive. I'd rather be Zoom and we're being brilliantly productive and we're on our A game. To the floor.
Seeing as the floor has been yielded to, we will now move into the second round of debate against I saw Pro Tem Patel first.
Pro Tem Patel, I mean, it's 9, we've had meetings go a lot later than this. If we don't do it now, it just gets pushed to next meeting. Everything we have left doesn't get debated on, we just read it, it's just period question and answer. I yield to Chairman Armstrong.
Senator Armstrong has been yielded to, you'll have 2 minutes until second.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Chair Armstrong, R&R. I'll echo what we said before. These pieces are important. They're quick. We'll get them done in and out. I would suggest that you don't care about the pieces that have going on in the agenda after this. We have beautiful couches and tables in the hallway down the way. They're much wider, and people can do their work out there. So choose. Also, if you don't plan on absencing out, the end absence shouldn't matter to you. You can go home. I think we need to get this work done. Some of them, one in particular, the Texas First Gen Match Grant Bill, needs to be read tonight so that it can be sent to the LR committee in time to actually get it done. So, please, let's get this thing done. It won't take very long. Let's vote against the current meeting. I yield to Chairman.
Senator Hill has been yielded to, you have 1 minute and 27 seconds beginning at how.
Howdy, guys, like everybody else, it's literally not that long, like everything else we had. Also, like, think about all your fellow senators have really worked hard on some of these pieces of legislation. Like, they want their opportunity for it to be, like, heard, and for it to be timely. Like, there's a Fish Fest resolution, this month's resolution, like, that's timely things. So like and those are not long things, like literally everybody is going to agree on them. So like, let's just go ahead and get it passed. And with that, I yield to Chair.
State your motion.
Chair Applewhite, constituency affairs. I'd like to know the previous question.
Senate motion has been.
Point of order.
Point of order.
I could be completely wrong about this because Senator Williams called it back last time, says, I could be completely wrong about this, but the motion to adjourn is a privileged motion, which means no member can be, allowed during kind of this one.
Yes, yes, the good senator is correct. We're still in debate. We have 47.
I yield the chair.
State your point.
Now the floor is gonna today. Because majority is a privilege motion, all of this debate is an outward because debate is technically not allowed on privilege motion, especially.
The good fish. The good fish shade is correct on this. Apologies. We've never done this before. Figure out as we go. With that, we'll sit down, conclude debate, and we will now move into voting on the motion to adjourn. We'll do this via a standing vote. All those in favor of the motion, please rise if you're able. All those opposed? Why are we talking during voting? When has that ever been okay? By a vote of 5-27, this motion does fail. With that, we'll now move into the reading of SR 7715, Deep Fish Fest resolution. If the author will please come to the floor. 10 minutes beginning at time.
Howdy, Senator Daines, College of Engineering. I'd first like to say thank you, senators, for giving us a shout out. Okay, so as we can see on your computers, this is basically the resolutions that come in, what the directors for Fish Fest did. And this year Fish Fest had a doubling amount of attendance. Last year it was around 500. This year it was over 1,000. So I believe that is very commendable and we should celebrate that. And then if you scroll down, it's basically where this started back in 1918 with the banquet, and also that's where the resolution is going to be sent to all those people. You can see on its computers, and okay, I include the resolution.
With that, the author is not open for questions. If you'll stay down here. Do I see any questions for the author? Seeing none, we thank the author for her time. We'll now move into a period of debate. Do I see any debate against this piece? Seeing none, we'll now move into the first round of debate for this piece. Do I see any debate for this piece? Seeing none, we'll now move into the second round debate against this piece. Do I see any debate against this piece? Seeing none, it is the opinion of the chair, the debate has become one-sided. We'll now move into a period of voting. We'll attempt this via general consent. Do I see any objections to SR 7715? Seeing none, this resolution does pass. With that, we'll now move to consideration of SR 7716, the Hispanic Heritage Month resolution. If the author will please come to the floor. We'll have 10 minutes to get in my house.
Sure, howdy. So the Hispanic Heritage Month resolution just implemented, which started on September 15th and concluded on October 15th. The resolution talks about the history of the and then the Hispanic national population. And it will be sent to the battalion and then President Navarro, who is the president of
All right, with that, the author is now open for a period of questions. So I see any questions for the author? I see Chairman Morrison.
I just have one question. Why pass this now?
I see any other questions for the author? Senator Boo.
Senator Boo, Animal Health, I'm kind of curious as like why it's like not like at the beginning of a month and then like, you know, these dates, it's like the whole month of like.
So that's actually discussed. But it coincides with.
Can I see any other questions for the author? Seeing that, we thank the author for her time. With that, we'll now move into debate on this piece, but I see any debate against this piece. Seeing none, we'll now move into debate for this piece. Do I see debate for this piece? Seeing none, we'll now move into debate against this piece. Do I see debate against this piece? Seeing none, as the opinion of chair debate has become one-sided, we'll now move into a period of voting. We'll attempt to via general consent. Do I see any objections to the passing of SR 7716? Seeing none, this piece does pass. We'll now move into the first reading of SB 7706, the Texas First Generation Match Grant Bill. If the author will please come to the floor.
Read this. Nope. Compton. Senator Hopkins caucus. I'm just going to do a quick little summary of this legislation. We, as part of the legislative commission, got tasked with finding 3 key priorities. This is one of our priorities that we're first passing through the Senate right now. This one we just voted on as a commission. This bill essentially is a summary of a Florida bill that passed way back in 2007. Where they actually have a funding for first generation college students. And that's something I'm passionate about. I'm a first generation college student myself. I think that I have a little bit of a unique story talking about my journey here at Pennsylvania. But not only that, we can talk about that a little bit later too. But the reason that we're standing in favor of first generation students is they're most at risk of dropping out of college, actually because of large financial reasons and other for the family navigating it. Mental, physical, financial well-being are large stressors on financial first generation students in particular, and we're wanting to help alleviate that pressure. The state of Florida believed in that way back in 2007. In this legislation, all it does is say it tasks the commission to be able to advocate for the creation on the actual state level of the creation of a first generation match grant. So the reason why it's called a match grant instead of just a grant is that it's based off donors. So the number of donors that donate to a given institution of higher education, we have 38 that are being recognized by the state legislature that receive funding. Out of those 38 institutions, if a donor donates money to them, the state of Texas will then match that donation specifically in the creation for the first generation grant. So essentially, it's just additional funding to alleviate the financial pressures that are unique, particularly to first generation politics. They're the ones in the first in their families to receive a degree in higher education. This bolsters the state economics. That higher education tends to, on average, lead to higher outcomes for not only those individuals, but the state that they reside in as well. So there's multiple economic and actual real tangible problems to be solved with this. And I just reading that just to summarize the legislation. But again, all this bill does is tasking the legislative commission to be able to go down to Austin to be able to advocate for the creation of this legislation. That I stand.
All right, do I see any questions for the author? I see Senator Horton.
Senator really talks. Senator, I like the idea of your bill, but my question is similar to the one that Senator Steele sponsored earlier. The legislative commission not already had this bill.
No, the Senate has to pass this legislative commission to do this.
Senator Edges.
Yes. She loves me so much. We broke her name.
that will be considered in committee. Do I see any other questions to the author? Seeing none, we thank the author for his time. This bill will be sent to the Legislative Relations Committee. And yes, the further answers to an important question, you're gonna see more bills like this, in the coming weeks and through the spring semester, as anything that the Legislative Relations Commission wants to go to Austin, about has to pass through the Senate first. With that, we'll now move into open session. Floor is now open for motions.
Madam Speaker, I move to consider the fall 2024 college station candidates for resolution. Second.
Seeing that motion has been made and seconded, it is debatable, unamendable, and will require a majority vote. We'll not even debate on this motion. Do I see any debate against this motion? Seeing none, we'll now even debate for this motion. Do I see any debate for this motion? Seeing none, we'll now move into debate against this motion. Do I see any debate against this motion? Seeing none, as the opinion of the chair, the debate has become one-sided. We will now consider this motion to be a general consent. Do I see any objections to this motion? Seeing none, this motion does pass. Is the resolution conjoined? So 10 minutes of being at home.
Hi, Seth. Howdy. Chairman Morrison, Finance. I'm gonna be super fast. I'm super frankly, but it's a resolution commemorating the candidates forum and thank you for the bill.
Do I see any questions for the author? Seeing none, we thank the author for his time. With that, we'll now move into a period of debate, trying to debate against this piece. Do I see any debate against this piece? Seeing none, we'll now move into the first round debate for this piece. Do I see any debate for this piece? Seeing none, we'll now move into the second round debate against this piece. Do I see any debate against this piece? Seeing none, as the opinion of the chair, the debate has become one-sided. We'll now move into a period of voting. We will vote via general consent. Do I see any objections to the candidates forum resolution? Seeing none, this piece does pass. Are still in open session. The floor is open for motions.
Madam Speaker, I have a motion.
You said your motion?
Chairman Turner, I move to close the session. Second.
See, the motion has been made and seconded. It is undebatable and unamendable and will require a majority vote. Motion to be a general consent. Do I see any objections to the closing of open session? Seeing none, this motion does pass. We will now move into committee reports, starting with Pro Tem Patel. Do I see any questions for Pro Tem Patel? Seeing none, thank the Pro Tem for his time. We'll now move into the rules and regulations chair. Do I see any questions for Chairman Armstrong? I see Chair Applewhite.
Yes, I do. So the Rules and Regs Committee will be considering election reform packages. So if you have any election things that you want to change, things you don't want to change, come to the meeting next week or tonight at 7 p.m. We'll be discussing the Election Commission's recommendations and then anything y'all want to talk about. We'll also be talking about caucus apportionment, how many seats go to each caucus. We periodically review that. So we'll be doing that, I think, this next week as well. But lastly, as a public senator, I wanted to make a note to some who may be new in this room and some who aren't, about how Senate functions and one of the base values, and that's decorum. So in order to have a good functioning Senate, we need to have a sort of standard of behavior that we follow. And so tonight, we got kind of outside of that, and I want to just reaffirm that we don't have side discussions in 144 while things are happening. You got other conversations, please go outside or text somebody. Two great options. The volume really does amplify inwards, kind of like how Kyle Field amplifies all the volume inwards. And so it gets kind of loud. So please keep that conversation to a minimum. As well as something we don't talk about very often, but we did have to talk about it a few years ago, and that is reactions. So when we do a vote, when something passes, it's a great thing to ring tap, or if you don't have your ring, to whack your hand on the table in support of whatever just passed. However, when things don't happen, it's generally perceived as polite to not ring tap when something fixed. Additionally, when things happen, it's generally good to not like hoop and holler and make big emotive responses when stuff happens. So please keep that stuff to a minimum. I know some people are new, so like we don't. It's all good, but let's keep things professional in the future. Thanks, guys.
All right, I see any questions for the rules and regulations chair? Seeing none, we thank you for his time. With that, we'll move to our student services chair. Do I see any questions for Chairman Chu? I see Senator Maynard.
Senator Maynard, on the committee report, I saw some really interesting things about outsourcing Starbucks. Is there anything to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the Aggie Dining Advisory Committee I think that was last week, or maybe the week before last. Yeah, the week before last, sorry. They brought forward the fact that, with the new contract coming about, and Starbucks is kind of being difficult with Aggie Dining on what specifics, as far as like our meal plans, they kind of want the best revenue for them, right? Which is not the best option for us. And Aggie Dining has realized that, so they're trying to move forward and maybe consider other options of outsourcing the coffee and the pastries, or like desserts or anything like that. And essentially, actually, if I highly encourage I highly encourage everyone in here to talk to your constituents and try to get opinion on that, because I guess a lot of people like Starbucks, but also if we need to outsource that to someone else, where we need better coffee, better pastries, better desserts, and ultimately better prices. I mean, that's kind of a win for us. So if like I said, I highly encourage all of y'all to talk to your constituents about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
I see Chair Upper. Senator Vernon.
Senator Vernon, culture and science, if we do have, if somebody does tell us where we tell me or how we communicate that to you.
You can text me on the web.
Okay.
Or, yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about sending out like the opinion article to the battalion, because they can garner a little bit more interest from just the general public, and maybe making like a Google form, if that's something that I find that would be helpful. I still need to talk to the battalion about it too. Clear, this is not something that we need to do obviously like next month, as in like changing from Starbucks to something else, and probably not even next semester, but within the next year, probably we'll see those changes. Anyways, to answer that, you can just check me out.
I see any other questions for Chairman Chu? Seeing none, we thank him for his time. With that, we'll move to our finance chair. Do I see any questions for Chairman Morrison? Seeing none, we thank him for his time. With that, we'll move to our community relations chair. Do I see any questions for Chair Gaddis? Seeing none, so we thank her for her time. With that, we'll try legislative relations chair. Do I see any questions for Chairman Bass? Seeing none, we thank him for his time. With that, we'll move to our academic affairs chair. Do I see any questions for Chair Cornell? Seeing none, we thank her for his time. With that, we'll move to our constituency affairs chair. Do I see any questions for Chairwoman Applewhite? Seeing none, we thank her for her time. With that, we'll move to our diversity and inclusion chair. Do I see any questions for Chairwoman Ivey? Seeing none, we thank her for her time. With that, we'll move to our executive director of operations. Do I see any questions for EDL Herbert? Seeing none, we thank her for her time. With that, we'll move to a period of executive reports, starting with the designee of the student body president.
What I said, I'm not a member of the branch, however, the executive branch had other time commitments to attend to, and they need to speak, and so they didn't take me to pass along their message. But I'm Chair Armstrong. Thanks. Let me remember what they wanted me to say. The exec branch, thanks the legislative branch for another productive meeting. And wanted to remind them of the presidential investiture on Friday and encourage all of you to attend. If you are able to, it's a really big event as, kind of in the life of a institute higher education when the president is, vested, I guess would be the proper version. So, the investors on Friday, please, and any questions?
The designated sounds of the question. Seeing none, we thank him for his time. With that, we'll move to our vice chief.
Howdy, Senate. For those of you who don't know, Senator Blackburn already introduced me, but my name is Session Wine. I'm the Vice Chief Justice of the Judicial Court. I'll keep it short and sweet. Chief Justice Claire Leavenworth couldn't come today because she is sick, so praying for her speedy recovery. As far as the executive report goes, tomorrow we have a mock hearing. We'll be training our JAGs and refreshing us on protocol and skills that we need. With that, I thank you guys for your time. Any questions?
With that, the vice chief is now open for questions. I see Senator Vu.
Senator AM Health, you said that you have on tomorrow, what time?
That's gonna be at 5:30 p.m.
I see any other questions to the vice chief. Seeing none, we thank him for his time. With that, I will have Chair Chairperson Patel to deliver my executive report.
With that, the speaker is now going to repeat your presentation.
County Senate, thank you guys for bearing with us. I know this was quite the meeting. I really appreciate you being here. I know a lot of you are so I appreciate your diligence and your time tonight. I got a couple of things. You first talking about the investiture. This Friday, the House bill that was sent out to the body in conjunction with the FPP newsletter through Marcom here. And so we're also doing some social media pictures with that as well. But tomorrow, the investiture is the party in the plaza from 10:30 to 1:30. Come by, walk through, get a bunk cake, and other swag and things like that. Try to learn about the investiture more so. There will also be memorabilia out there as well. And this is free stuff to be able to learn. Highly encourage you to attend the investiture in some way, whether the live stream or another auditorium if you're able. It's very unique that you are here at the time of an investiture. These things are not common, so I really encourage that opportunity. With that, I do have an announcement. So I am forming a working group officially within the Senate. And so this working group will be tasked with evaluating senator participation and potentially establishing perks of membership of the senator. And so the goal of this working group is really it would be 5 members who would meet potentially every other week and kind of see and discuss what potential perks of membership would be or to increase senator body and participation in order to have more effective meetings and time together. So if you're interested in joining that, please email me and I will get more. We're looking for about 5, but if you have more interest, I'm open to staying that number as well. And this would be a great opportunity for my members to get involved, because I really want to hear your opinions on this. A couple other things for me. One, we have circuit caps first week of November. I had student leaders to attend and also write letters to families. And the last thing I have for y'all is President Patel forgot to mention it, but we're going to have pictures next Wednesday. President Patel is going to email out more information, but general information will be used at the admin building, and this will be our big Senate group picture for the year. So I encourage you to attend, potentially removal of an absence if needed by attending. And so these will be used to update our website. Update many pictures, office pictures, things of that nature. With that, I don't have any questions.
Speaker's now into a future question and answer. Any questions for Speaker Blackburn? I see Senator Hurd.
It's correct that open, or early voting is happening early, so that's the result.
Yes, early voting is currently happening, you can early vote in NSC, I think the hours this week are 8 AM to 6 or 7 PM, and then next week they're 7 AM to 7 PM. I have a graphic with all the information about that, where, so you'll have it, and you can share it, and post it, for me,
See Senator Hughes.
Some of this office, just two questions, what time is the investiture, and what time is the position after?
yeah, pictures, TBD, we'll send out information on that, the investiture is from 10, yes, 10, that they'll have it in time, it says it's 10. But the procession starting at
Chair Applewhite.
For the pictures, is there any like color scheme of like neutrals, red, white, blue, black, and maroon, or like what are the vibes there?
we will send an email with all the information, but I would say generally black and navy and gray.
Senator Steele.
Senator Steele, off your thoughts. I know you said the time was TBD. You give a guess, so like early afternoon, evening.
It'll probably be between 5 and 6.
Thank you.
There's any more questions for the speaker? All right, seeing none, we thank you for your presentation. Now I give the chairship back to Speaker Blackburn.
Alright, with that, I thank you all for your time tonight. We'll now move into a period of closing roll call led by Coach Brazil. Keep your friends from packing up to the
All right, swing spot, let's be confident. You just did something well. Speaker Blackburn.
Howdy.
Chairman Armstrong. Howdy. Chairman Chu. Howdy. Chairman Morrison. Howdy. Chairman Gaddis. Chairman Bass. Howdy. Chairman Cornell.
Howdy.
Chairwoman Applewhite.
Howdy.
Chairman Wilhite. Edel Herbert.
Howdy.
Senator Fisher. Senator Fawn. Senator James. Senator Tanner Owen. Senator Williams. Howdy. Senator Roscoe.
Howdy.
Senator Bounds. Howdy. Senator Garcia. Senator Jacino.
Howdy.
Senator Oberoi.
Howdy.
Senator Pham. Senator Sanchez. Senator Vernon.
Howdy.
Senator Daniel. Senator Rodriguez. Senator Sanders. Senator Wright. Senator Hunt. Senator Gilliard. Senator Maynard. Senator Morrow. Senator Bradley. Senator Childs. Senator Gaines.
Howdy.
Senator Gutser. Senator Kim. Senator Rollins. Senator Tucker. Senator Applewhite. Senator Henry Smith. Senator Burrell. Senator Van Hoosier.
Howdy.
Senator Orego. Senator Booth.
Howdy.
Senator Collinsworth. Senator Edgington.
Howdy.
Senator Hughes.
Howdy.
Senator Coatsing.
Howdy.
Senator Dodo Owens. Senator Pritzloff.
Howdy.
Senator Conrad. Senator Duncan. Senator Flores. Senator Kowalski. Senator Hoffman. Senator House. Senator Hurt. Senator Jantz. Senator Leahy. Senator Monk. Senator Norton. Senator Oliphant. Senator Annie Kate Owens. Senator Puckett. Senator Ratcliffe. Senator Schaefer. Senator Steele. Senator Slum. Senator Hudson Smith. Senator Stone. Senator Teets. Senator Tripodi. Senator Tullis. Senator Horton. Senator Rasco. Bishade Gilbert. Bishade Matthews. Bishade Preston. Bishade Reynoso. Bishade Troy. Thank y'all.
Alright. Sure. I was more